it takes a lot to work with the particular client to figure out what offer they're comfortable doing. And some industries are a little bit easier to work with. Landscapers tend to think, yeah, I can do a free lawn in an afternoon. We just have to schedule it when in between other appointments. Painters tend to want to say, we are not going to do anything for free. We'll give them a 50% discount. And the ones that get it, the ones that understand, right, a little bit goes a long way. They've tend to done pretty well with that as well.
Hey everyone, this is Mark DeGrasse, the president of Digital Marketer, and this is the podcast that keeps you up to date on everything you need to know when it comes to digital marketing, from the platforms you need to be focused on to the cutting-edge tactics and tools that are working today. Today, our guest is Robert Lee, the CEO of Lee6 Agency and a newer one of our certified partners. Today, we're going to be talking about tying in offline, namely mailing, with digital marketing methods. So welcome, Robert.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Now, there aren't too many marketers that actually kind of talk about mail. I was actually in real estate, so I had a big, farm at one point, and I was mailing postcards and paper notepads and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people think that that's not something that works these days. Why do you still do it, and does it still work?
Oh, it absolutely still works. I mean, when you look at conversion rates, mail converts more than digital does. It generally works out that the cost of acquisition is about the same. There seems to be this mentality that old school has to compete with new ways of doing things. But the reality is, when we connect the two, they perform extremely well. People like getting mail, even among generations. Younger generations like getting pieces that spark their creativity, and older generations like the nostalgia of getting a nice mail piece. So when you're able to tie the two together pretty well, there's no competition. It's just a method of advertising. And that's the key thing, is it's just all media. It's just what type of media you're using, right? So it's something I try to get my customers and clients to see in the mail business, that they can use digital, and our digital clients to see that they can use mail. And when they do, they generally see pretty good results.
That's fantastic. Well, I love how you mentioned, the actual acquisition cost is about the same, because everybody thinks like, oh, I'm online because it's cheaper. But, with rising ad costs and really the competition that's kind of from this new generative AI, where everybody could do a million pieces of content, I could totally see how, actually mailing and receiving something in the mail is actually going to lead to a lot better results. So how do you kind of tie the two together? I know you mentioned QR codes and, URLs and whatever.
Yeah. So one of the things that we like doing is using that QR code to embed a PURL. And then we're evangelists of high level. I know everybody has their own platform that they use, but it's really easy in high level to use some of that embedded information to personalize that landing page. So you can build anything you want to match that mail piece, but you can say, hey, welcome James, or welcome Mark to your free offer, or your free ebook that we wrote in 45 minutes, like you did, right? And that helps the conversion process, because somebody sees James or Mark on their mail piece, and then they see James or Mark on their landing page. That level of personalization helps with the CVJ quite a bit, because in any healthy human relationship, people like to know they're a person. And so the more you can remind them they're a person, to you and to whoever else, it's an amazing thing that you can do. And every mail piece has somebody's name on it, so you might as well continue that relationship building with them.
I love that, because, number one, everybody loves to hear their name or see their name. And also, and in addition to just, making that human connection with the person that you're sending the piece to, and then sending to the traffic on the website, it also adds a ton of professionalism to the company that's sending it. Because if I receive something like that and I went on the website, I'm like, oh, wow, they connected the mail piece to online, and that, man, this company has things dialed in. Do you hear a lot of that kind of feedback from your clients that are doing it?
Yeah, actually, the response they get is a lot of surprise. from their clients. So I don't know that it's impression and like, oh my God, these guys have it, or it's, oh my God, these guys have it. Like, what is this witchcraft?
Magic.
Yeah. So they're getting a lot of feedback. The few that have really dove in, that their potential customers are just replying. They seem to be conjuring something out of Hogwarts or something like that for this. And but again, it's nothing that's real difficult. It takes a little bit to design the piece and takes a little bit to set up the landing page, but really not that much at all. And then you just continue the process, and using a lot of the lessons that you guys have taught us as certified partners, and using a lot of the lessons that a lot of the industry experts in mail have taught us. And I could evangelize about this all day, but it really is an amazing thing when you can tie the two old and newer methods together.
No, it's funny that, because print is one thing, but also another thing that people try actually neglect a lot is like television commercials, where it's like, if you are appearing on somebody's TV in addition to appearing on, online, that kind of connection, I think, is kind of similar to what you're talking about with the mail pieces. Have you found that it works really good with certain industries like, home services, or are these going out to businesses as well?
So obviously we do it the same, and we send ours out to businesses, but home services is one of the generalized industries that we serve. And that's where it tends to have a good impact, because these people obviously have a problem if they're responding. And so when they have a problem, and it seems like the vendor, the service provider in this case, knows who they are and knows why they're visiting. I mean, it goes back to what you said. People like to know their name is important. They like to see their name on a website or a podcast or whatever it is, right? So that same principle applies, and they're running gangbusters on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I get the pieces too, and I'll still look, even if it's the junk mail, you have that pile, and you're like, well, there might be a bill in here, and so I'm going to go through all of them. One or two will always catch my eye, which is kind of surprising, because you see way more ads online, and you don't stop on nearly as many as you would on a mail piece. In terms of the size, so when you're saying, okay, we're going to do a campaign, your local, say, plumber, how many houses do you actually end up mailing?
So we'll generally buy a list of about 10 to 20,000, and then we'll just break them up in chunks, and we'll send out about 10% of that list at any one time, depending on, again, what their conversion rates tend to be. We can slow it down or speed it up and things like that. But smaller chunks, just like you would do in any sort of drip campaign, is the same principle we follow here. So, and then again, it does tend to be more to send a mail piece per piece than it does a digital ad, but you end up getting a lot more responses out of it as a result. Like you said, you tend to even gander at junk mail, even if it's a piece of junk mail. And I can't remember where I saw this statistic. I think it might have been the Postal Service, where it said a mail piece lasts an average of 17 days in the home. So anybody that says they just throw their junk mail away is not being honest about it. So you tend to keep it, and you tend to look at it at least twice or three times, even if it is junk mail, just to make sure you're not missing something. And so with those smaller batches, it helps with the budgeting and the cash flow, but it also produces better results over the course of time.
Man, that's so true. Just as you said that, I'm like, you know what? I have a whole cabinet in my house that's just junk mail, because I'm like, well, if my wife hasn't looked at it yet, I'm going to keep it around just in case. And you're right. Then you go through the same process maybe 3-6 months later, and like, oh, okay, junk mail. And then, oh, hey, I wonder if this offer is still good. And actually, in that regard, have you seen specific offers? Let's talk about home services that seem to perform better at making that conversion from the offline to the online.
Yeah, just a small free service. I mean, just like anything else, right? That perfect kind of entry point offer of, you have to be home to claim the free lawn mowing. You can't just schedule us to do it and not be home. But things like that tend to be pretty well, right? We'll come in and repaint your bathroom or something
Oof.
like that. So it takes a lot to work with the particular client to figure out what offer they're comfortable doing. And some industries are a little bit easier to work with. Landscapers tend to think, yeah, I can do a free lawn in an afternoon. We just have to schedule it when in between other appointments. Painters tend to want to say, we are not going to do anything for free. We'll give them a 50% discount. And the ones that get it, the ones that understand, right, a little bit goes a long way. They've tend to done pretty well with that as well. As long as they understand they also have to make sure somebody's home so that the homeowner dedicates a little bit of time to the interaction and whatnot. So again, every industry is different. Every vendor is different. Their comfort levels are different, but something small, easy, free to give away tends to work.
Man, I've actually never even heard of that, the free paint your bathroom, because I'm like, man, I would totally do that. If somebody sent me a mail piece and like, hey, we'll paint a room for free, I'd be like, you're hired.
Yeah.
Right
And
now.
and then anybody that sees the work that you do and in a small little, first floor guest bathroom takes a painter maybe 2 hours to do, but then they could paint the whole house for 15 grand. I mean,
Totally worth.
again, yeah, totally worth it. So
Oh, that's huge. So do you kind of prep the vendor? Because let's say that I'll do the free bathroom painting and you send it out to 20,000 people. Have you ever had it where it's like, oh, well, 100 people or 500 people signed up and now, is the business ready for that kind? Or do you, before you make the offer, do you talk to them about that fulfillment?
yeah, absolutely. That's all part of that process of,
Mm,
all right, are you comfortable if you get this many responses? Are you comfortable if you get this many responses? Are you comfortable if you get this many responses? We usually go up 3 levels,
mm,
right? Starting with something that's about 0.5% and then 1% and maybe 3%. And then say, if you're okay at 3%, even if you don't reach it, it means you can handle the workload that
mm.
comes in. So that's all part of that planning process. And we try to be very thorough in how we plan this stuff out so that somebody isn't overwhelmed with getting too much work that they can't do in the door. And that's the nice thing about doing direct mail and batches too. If they're going gangbusters on their first and second mailers, we can simply not send the rest and
Mm.
save them until the next one. So, or wait 3 weeks and say the next one, or however it is we plan it out. I mean, it's just like digital advertising. You can turn on and turn off and do it pretty effectively that way. So
I love that approach. And it must be, for positioning in terms of, hey, if you hire us for your marketing, we're going to do the mailer, we're going to prep you for fulfillment, we're going to set up the landing page and set up the systems for processing. Is that kind of how you approach getting new clients, or do you even have to look for new clients? Because I imagine this, if it's done right, I imagine it works really well for a significant portion.
yeah, it's kind of a new approach that most of the mail houses in our area, and I live in Atlanta, not many of them do that. The ones that do that tend to be big national companies where they're faceless and all that. So this is relatively novel from a kind of a local MSP mindset, but it takes a lot to actually demonstrate what it is that we do. And I know we shouldn't ever get lost in features, but I try to tell folks, hey, look, we'll give you a free mail piece design if you're interested in talking about
Mm.
how you can use mail. Just set up a time. In 30 minutes, we can have your mail piece designed up. And then in the course of that discussion, say, hey, here's a great feature we offer. We can put a little QR code on here. In about 15 minutes, we can have these mail pieces personalized for everybody that needs to get one. And we can have a landing page with our system built up, set up. And is this something you're interested in? Here's the data to back it up. And here's how it works. And we tend to get a better response just approaching it from the perspective of here's a free design, right? I mean, it's just, we just need to sit on a Zoom call for 30 minutes and we can have this thing done. And you could take it anywhere if you wanted to. But most people at that point, that's when they're ready to to hear that pitch about the QR code, and then like you guys have taught us, right, deliver that aha moment when I can sit there and show them on the screen how that QR code relates to a landing page. It's pretty amazing.
That's well, and I love that approach. I think nowadays with so many tools that we have with AI and design and Canva and whatever it is, you could actually do all this stuff live. And I think the customers, I think, are starting to expect that. Like they don't want to hear like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. Like whenever I see that now, I'm like, okay, no,
No,
I
they're
don't have
done.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, in our industry, in the mail industry anyway, it's the people that we compete against are not necessarily each other when we're local mail houses, but they're Vistaprint and overnight prints, because it's just so easy to do it, and you can do it at 12:30 in the morning when you get a hair up your butt.
Mhm.
But you don't ever talk to a person, so we have to deliver that personal touch, and there's some other things that set us apart from them. So the more chances we give ourselves to be a real human in this process, the more likely we are to land a client that's interested in tying the two media together.
That's fantastic. Well, and I think I think there has been a swing, because I think originally, in the last 10 years, people were like, you know what, I could do everything myself. Like I'll go and I'll design the thing and I'll connect it over here, I'll connect it over there. And I think we're burnt out on that. Like me personally, I'm like, you know what, if somebody has a system for this, like I don't want to figure out all these things, and I don't want to connect this piece to that piece and then to this piece and then the follow up and then blah, blah, blah. I'd much rather just, please, do you do this? Great. Yeah, I totally want to
Mhm.
do that. I don't have a system, and a lot of companies, even small companies, don't have an offer. Like they don't have anything where it's like, well, how do you get acquisition? And they're like, well, we have an appointment, and then we talk to them about what they need, and then we set up a custom blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, how do you get in the door? How do you get
Mhm.
conversion? That is totally different than your onboarding process, which I think a lot of people, merge together. Like, no, that's not marketing. You have to have conversion. So do
Mhm.
you, the customer value journey that you mentioned, our fantastic framework, do you actually explain that to the customer, the steps of the process, or are they just kind of like, yeah, I want that. Like, I love the conversion potential and let's just go ahead and do that? Or do you do a lot of educating?
We do a little bit, and for a couple of reasons. One, most customers haven't heard of it, or at
Mm,
least haven't heard of it in that very clear framework, right? Most of the customers that we have that do very good sales, they understand the value journey. They probably just haven't ever looked at it in the way that y'all have taught us to do it as CPs. The customers that have never heard about it and don't really follow the practice, it does take a little bit of education on their part to sit there and say, all right, here's what a customer value journey is. Here's what an avatar canvas is. Here's what an empathy map is. And we actually provide that. We provide a very, very brief nutshell of that in that free design session, because we tell them we have to be able to do this to be able to craft a good mail piece that actually converts. So we give them a bit of education for that, but it's also a great, branching off to another customer value journey. It's a great entry point offer for the accelerator program.
mm,
And so after the mail is out and they're starting to convert, we can sit there and say, well, it's fantastic. You're getting great responses off these mails. Let's talk about something else. Have you thought about how your growth and sales are, and what challenges you face there? And have you ever documented this stuff? And have you ever really dove into how your business grows and how your marketing fits in with all of that? And then, again, if we get one or two a year, one or two new customers out of that per year, I mean, all of our marketing pays for itself.
mm.
And not only that, we have one or two customers that are with us for a very long time, not only sending mail, but also paying us for the growth accelerator and the
Mm.
learning, whatever other services might come along with that. So
Oh, that's fantastic. No,
yeah.
and that's the conversion that we're talking about, right? Like, hey, I'm
Mhm.
gonna show you something, I'm gonna deliver it fast, I'm gonna give you that quick win, and then, hey, by the way, how would you like this to happen forever? Then easy sell. Oh,
Exactly.
take this fraction of the money that you made that you wouldn't have made if we didn't do this thing, and let's just make more. And now that's
100%.
a fantastic approach. And I know we teach it, but it's like, seeing people actually take, the lesson and be like, here's exactly what we did with it is phenomenal. So kudos to that. And
Yeah. And it's relatively new for us too, right? Because just becoming a certified partner in the last 4, 5, 6 months, I mean, this is all stuff that I knew that I didn't really put together quite as effectively. So we're running gangbusters with it with the clients that have really adopted it, and we're really starting to use it to drive new business and develop those relationships in other places. But in the next year, I mean, I have no doubt for us as a family of companies, this is gonna burn the place down. So that's the mission.
well, I love hearing that. I think you're a testament to the program. I think you're going to be super successful. And I think, with, the evolution of marketing that's happening right now, like we're just going to be so inundated with info online specifically that you're in a super position to take advantage of that, because everybody's tired of getting hit up with emails.
Mhm.
We teach
Mhm.
emails, but it's like, man, I check my email like twice a day now because I'm like, I'm 200,000 deep. Uh,
Yeah,
I'm not going to catch up. So hit me up on LinkedIn or something.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
Yep.
send me a
And
letter.
and LinkedIn's the worst too. I mean, LinkedIn is absolutely horrible. You get
Ugh.
every message you get seems to be hit up from somebody, as opposed to, hey, can we talk about these business solutions? And I have this podcast or something like that. So it's everywhere. I mean, everybody's just getting bombarded. I mean, cell phone messages. I mean, one of the industries we
Ugh.
work in is political, and you want to talk about an abuse of email and text messaging and all of that. So, I mean, we've used this stuff in the political arena, and it's worked gangbusters, absolutely gangbusters there too. So, it's just it's a bright future when you listen to people that are a lot smarter than you, like y'all are over at Digital Marketer, and we're really running with it in our companies.
Well, we really appreciate your involvement and your dedication to the program. It's funny because everybody's like, oh, DigitalMarketer has these great frameworks, but the frameworks were actually built from talking to agencies like you that actually implemented the things and it worked. And then we take those lessons like, okay, we can make a framework out of that. So it's it's kind of a cycle that we go through where you
Mhm.
guys are the, doing the work. We just make it look pretty and tell people about it. But we really appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and really looking forward to see how it develops, because I think you're going to blow up. I think everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm spending $20 a lead.
Yeah.
and now you could do mailing and you could do all these other things instead, because now they're comparable. So
Mhm.
like I said, I think you're in a great position. So where can people learn more about you, your company, and what you're doing?
Yeah, if anybody is interested, they can go to Mail with ABC. That's MAILWITH ABC for the direct mail side, and for the agency side, it's lesix.agency, LESIX.agency. And from there will be a ton of information about what our processes are. But more importantly, we just try to provide good, valuable information for anybody that's interested in the service. So it isn't even necessarily oriented towards just driving home that sale, but providing real value to people that want to know what it is that they're capable of doing. So, and either one of those websites, you get in contact with the same folks. So it's one's digitally oriented, one's mail, but it's the same folks. It's me and my fantastic team that do this stuff every day.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. And I do encourage everybody to check that out. I love your business model, and I think it's going to be really successful. So I'm looking forward to see what you do.
I appreciate it. If you don't mind me saying one more thing too, just as a personal thing. So I mean, you're well aware of this inside the groups. I've shared this. I've had so much loss in my life in the last year that you guys have really done a great job at connecting people that are all over the world and all over the country. And I genuinely feel like I've got a family outside of my family, being part of this community. So becoming a certified partner, yeah, it's going to lead to financial success, but emotional health, mental well-being, I mean, that's just that's a value that you can't put a price on. And so I appreciate y'all for what you've done and what you're willing to do and how good of people you've been to me since I've become part of the program.
Well, more than anything, we love hearing that because we do really care about you guys. And, me personally, I'm a marketer advocate because I think that you guys do amazing work. And actually, in terms of helping people, you're helping other small businesses. So, it multiplies the effect. So really appreciate you. Love having you part of the community, and you're never alone. Just, get on the
Appreciate it,
group.
brother. Appreciate it. And I'll definitely see you at the next Certified Partner Day for sure. So
Yes, definitely. Come to that. We'll chat.
absolutely. Well, thanks again, man.
All right. Thank you, Robert. And
Appreciate
thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit that follow button so you get notified when all of our new episodes release. Please share this with that friend who's clueless about digital marketing. And don't forget to visit digitalmarketer.com where you can access all of our courses, certifications, and training programs. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.